Hi everyone, Professor Z here, and today we're going to talk about going into business. And what I mean by that is, if you decide to take your media skills, create a small independent business, be a freelancer, or even if you want to use these skills later on in a larger company, here's some knowledge that's very helpful for you as far as figuring some things out that you need to know about media production and independent businesses. So first thing, we're going to talk about what it costs to do these productions. How much do you charge to create something, to take photos of someone, do headshots, create an interview? How much should you be charging that on the independent market? One thing you want to keep in mind is the thing called the triple constraint. So when you look at this, I can create a video for you, and I can create a cheap video very quickly, but it's not going to be good. Or I can create a video for you that's very good and make it very fast, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. So these things cannot all exist at the same time. That little spot in the middle of this Venn diagram does not exist. You can't have something that is good, fast, and cheap all at the same time. It's either going to be fast and cheap, fast and good, or good and cheap. Now, my priority is I always want to make my products for my clients good. I want to give it to them in a timely manner. Maybe not always quick, but if I do, I have to charge more. If they need it fast, right? Not because I did it fast, but say they're like, oh, I need this by next Saturday, I'm going to charge them more, so that way I can give them a good product in a good amount of time that they need, but they're going to have to pay extra for that. So let's talk more about why things cost what they do, right? So here is an advert in Craigslist from 2012. I'm not going to read it word for word. You can click on the link in the description and read all these things afterwards if you want. But basically, here is a bride looking for a photographer for her wedding, and she's really upset that a lot of them cost $3,000 or more. And she doesn't understand how standing around at a wedding taking photos all day would cost that much money. Because, well, as she sees it, it's only 8 hours worth of work. Why am I spending $3,000 on it? Well, there was a bride that did respond to this. I'm not going to read this word for word. You can read this on the website later on if you want, but I am going to summarize because there's a lot here. There's 4 slides worth of a response to that Craigslist ad because this photographer was not happy about it. So this is Nikki. She's a photographer in the Pennsylvania area, and she talks about how much it cost her business, how much she makes in a year versus charging a wedding. She charges $2,500 per wedding for about $50,000 a year. Now, that's not her total income. That's just what she makes on weddings per year based on that price with the amount of weddings that she books. And then she has to pay taxes for that. And then she has to pay for her rent and the car to get to the weddings. And then the time it takes to go to consultations, the gas money that she would spend to go there. Nowadays, we do a lot of it over Zoom, but we still meet in person a lot of times, especially when you're talking about someone's wedding and they want to go over their photos, right? We need to meet in person, so it takes time to do that. If I have a consultation, I have wasted half a day or a whole day on consultations before because the person lived an hour away from my house, and it's an hour-long consultation, and it's an hour drive back. I just wasted half a day to meet with a client. They may or may not book me. That's taking a gamble when I do that, to go meet with somebody that may or may not book you and hire you to do the job. So these are things that you factor into your cost overall, all that time you spend meeting with potential clients. Having insurance for the business. Yes, you have to have insurance. Talk more about that later. Advertisement. This photographer also pays for advertising online and such. Health insurance. Paying for a second photographer for the wedding. Talking about shoes you wear. You got to be comfortable when you're working all day like that. It does cost money to buy shoes. Internet to use at the home to upload all the images and do your other business online. Paying for a lawyer to make sure your contracts are good. And then attending workshops and seminars. All this costs money and time. And then not to mention the equipment that she has, right? She has 2 camera buys because, yes, when you shoot, you should always have 2 cameras with you. Even if you only shoot with one all day. Like I shot a wedding this past weekend, and when I do photos, I shoot with 1 camera and 1 lens that I really like, and that's what I usually shoot with. I have another camera body just in case my main one breaks. Always have a backup. So 2 cameras, 4 lenses, a couple flashes, plus memory cards and filters and stands and all these things that you carry to a wedding. That's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff carrying around thousands of dollars worth of equipment to do this one wedding. Not to mention the computer and the software and ink and nowadays websites to host the galleries on and things like that. It all costs money. So at the end of the day, Nikki Wagner here, the photographer who wrote this, was very insulted by the advert, but explained very precisely why it costs what it costs to take wedding photos. Because it's not just one day's worth of work, it's several days worth of work. You're only there in person for one day. Even when I'm there for 8 hours, I'm not shooting that entire 8 hours because there's downtime. There's times when nothing's happening. But then there's that time beforehand, those meetings, the first initial consultation, the meeting beforehand to make sure we have everything right, the emails back and forth, and then the emails afterwards, and the post-production. There's a lot of work that goes into doing these things. So how do you figure out how much you would charge for any project? I'm just use the examples of weddings. It's what I do, but also it could be making corporate videos. It could be doing headshots for your acting friends. It could be creating a promotional video for the ice skating team. It could be a lot of things. There's so many things you could do a project on, but how do you figure out what to charge? Well, some things to think about before you come up with that number. One, realistically speaking, how good are you? Are you the cream of the crop? Are you the best photographer there is? If so, you can charge more because you have experience and time and all that stuff behind you. If you're on the lower end, you're going to charge a little less because you're new and you're getting your feet wet. If you're in the middle, you're going to be about everybody else. Now, I also compare myself to the competition, my peers. How much are they charging for the same product or a similar product? And try to price myself within that same range. I don't want to be $500 less, but I want to be, competitive with them, but also equal to them. There is a weird psychology thing with humans, right? If you charge significantly less than somebody else, people are like, well, why are they charging so much less? They must not be as good. And then maybe won't hire you. So don't just undercut someone because you're trying to get those bookings, because that actually might cost you bookings in the long run. What equipment are you going to use for the project, right? The more stuff you bring with you, the more you can charge, because really when people hire you, they're also renting the gear that you're bringing with you. So if you're going to do a corporate shoot and you're bringing 2 cameras plus lights plus a teleprompter plus an assistant, right? All that costs you more money, and that's all stuff you factor into the quote that you give the client to say how much it's going to cost to do those videos. So these are just some of the things to think about when trying to figure out how much you would charge for a project. Now, when it comes to working with clients, remember, number one, you're the expert. This is your field. You know what you're talking about. And don't forget that. Now, don't come right out and say it, of course, but remember that in the back of your head at all times. When you first meet with a client, ask questions. Listen to the clients. Listen to what they have to say. Let them talk about everything and ask them questions about it. Get as many details as you can. The more details about their project and what they want, the easier it is going to be for you to figure out how you can meet their expectations and deliver the product. If you don't ask those questions, there's going to be gaps, and maybe you're going to come up short, or it's not going to be exactly what they're envisioning. So ask those questions. And then advise the client based on your expertise, right? They give you your whole spiel. You ask them questions. You can fill in all those gaps. Now tell them what you think. Well, how do you think that it could be done? Practically speaking, what's within the realm of possibilities? Look, know when to stand your ground, when to compromise, and when to walk away. And what we mean by that is stand your ground on things that either maybe are not realistic as far as the product goes, right? If you know you can't do that shot, or it's outside the realms of possibility or legalities, right? For instance, I had a client a couple years ago that wanted me to, while recording their wedding video, also wanted to have a drone flying overhead. And now I was the only person working. I can't fly a drone and operate another camera at the same time. That's a legal issue right there, because I am not in control of that other device, and legally speaking, I can't do that. So I had to advise him, I can't do that. That's just not going to happen, because I am not comfortable doing that. I'm not comfortable leaving it up there above people without someone hands-on control. So that was where I stood my ground. Now I compromised in the fact that we staged a shot afterwards, because I really wanted that drone shot. So what we did was, at the end of the ceremony, before they walked down, we had everyone stand up. We staged a shot where I did fly the drone separately while nothing else was happening to get the shot they wanted. And then we landed it safely, and then we continued on with the end of the ceremony. So that was a compromise. We had to make a little compromise there between the both of us. Now, if they had were firm on what they wanted and weren't willing to compromise, that's when I would walk away and be like, you know what? I'm not the person to work with you. I don't feel comfortable about this. You're free to find somebody else to do this. I'll refund you, whatever, and we're going to sever our ties. It's okay to walk away from clients that you have not a good relationship with or a disagreement with, or just you know that things are not going to go well. It's going to be better for both of you, honestly. And it's also okay to say no to projects, right? It's a huge temptation when you first start out in media production to just try to take on everything, because you want to get as many bookings as possible, build up your reel, so that way you get more clients later on. But in doing that, you might take on projects that aren't great. You might undercharge for projects. You might take on something that you can't physically complete or you're not comfortable doing, right? So it's okay to say no to things if they don't meet your timeline, things like that. I've said no to things in the last 2 years just because it fell on a date where I was like, no, I want to spend the day with my family instead of working that day because of when it falls in the calendar. So I made those decisions personally for myself in recent years. So you are your own boss when it comes to this. Make up your own rules. When you do decide ever to go into business, make it legit. By that I mean become a legal business entity. You can register with the state, with the federal government. It's easy to do this with a lawyer's help, right? I went to a lawyer. I paid a one-time fee and they did all the paperwork for me, sent it into the state, sent it to the federal government. I got my paperwork back. I have a tax ID number. It was quite painless. It didn't cost that much money. Nowadays, you can actually go online to like LegalZoom and stuff like that and do it yourself. But if you're not sure what you're doing, I strongly advise finding a business lawyer that specializes in small business that can help you out with it, because they'll be able to do it. Get business insurance. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, when I started, I did not have business insurance. I didn't know it was something I needed until I was going to do a wedding in a venue that required that I prove that I have insurance. At which point I went out and sought it and purchased business insurance from a company. And it's not that much money. It's $500 a year approximately, based on what equipment I have in store and things like that. And it's $1 million policy. So I'm covered up to $1 million for damages to property or people in case something happens. But it's something I need in order to walk in certain doors. So I can't work in certain buildings without having that, because they won't let you in with your gear to even work. Keep your money separate and organized from your personal money as well, right? Once you set up that business, separate those funds, go get a business banking account, go get a business credit card, and try to keep that separate. Yes, when you first start, you're going to invest your personal money into your business to start off because you need to buy things. But once it gets going, you want to try to keep it sustaining itself and then paying yourself back from your business instead of you putting your personal funds back into the business. That's the goal. That's where we want to be. Contracts. Please always have a contract. Always, 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 always have a contract whenever you're going to do work for somebody, right? It could be as simple as, hey, your friend says, can you take some pictures for me? I'll give you $50. Sure. Write up on a piece of paper. I'm going to deliver you 10 headshots. You're going to give me $50. Just to have it, something simple like that. It gets more complicated as you get more involved. This is again where I would advise going to a lawyer to help you develop a contract. I did for my first one, and then over the years I modified it based on other contracts from other vendors I've seen, and now I have a pretty good one that I really like. So definitely go and take the time to create a good contract that you can use with your clients so that it protects you, protects them, because now you've both agreed to what you're going to give each other. And if there's ever a dispute, you have that contract to go back to. Remember, this is the digital age. More than ever, people are going to look you up, whether it's through Google or Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is. They're going to find you, they're going to see who you are, and they're going to decide whether they want to hire you based on your online presence sometimes, right? It's happening in job searches. It happens when people are trying to hire professionals for their projects. So make sure you have professional presence on the web. Get rid of those photos that you don't want people seeing. Make your social media profiles private so that way only your friends can see it, and you can be free to share things that you don't want the public seeing because it's a private profile now and not public. Really take the time to do some cleanup of your presence online to make sure that you are presenting a professional face at all times. And also on your personal computer as well, right? You're meeting with a client, you open up your laptop, what's on your desktop? Is it something that they're going to find offensive? You might think it's fine, but someone else might not. And that could cost you a job right there and then. So take the time to think about those things as well. And some closing advice, right? Know your skills, know your limitations. Know what you're good at, know what you're not good at. And what you're not good at it, if you still need to do it, ask for help when you need it, right? You know friends that are in the business, you have colleagues that you can turn to. Talk to somebody that maybe you can hire or ask for help from to do this. Also, YouTube is a great free resource. There's a lot of online tutorials these days that help you out with certain things. Go do some research as well. Seek honest feedback for your work. When you're done with a project for a client, ask them to fill out feedback for you. Give you a rating online. Listen to what they have to say because it's going to make you better in the long run. Always research your field. If you're doing video or photography, certain styles, subscribe to those trade magazines, those websites, those Instagram reels. Listen to podcasts about that subject. Watch YouTube channels. Go to conferences. Attend seminars. All those things are going to make you better. They're going to get you connections with other people in this field, and that's going to be a helpful resource for you as well. So always be researching and always keep up to date with the latest trends, and don't be stuck behind 10 years from now using today's stuff in 10 years, and then the new generation is going to pass you by. So always keep up to date with what's going on to keep ahead of your competition. This was a very simple presentation on going into business. This is not legal advice. If you're going to go into business, please seek real legal counsel, talk to a business lawyer, go do some research about what kind of business to create. We didn't get into that in this. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a business lawyer, but I do own a business, so I have some experience with it. It is fun owning your own business, but it is also stressful. So hopefully this was helpful for all of you. And now that you've finished watching this, you can go back to the class page and look up the assignment for creating a business plan.